Good morning, everybody. My name is Nate Morris, and I'd like to welcome you back to another video. Today, we're back at Charlotte Motor Speedway for round number 7 of the Cookout Summer Shootout. After all the speed that we showed last week in practice and qualifying, I was very excited to get back to the track this week and try to improve on that and hopefully get some good race finishes to go along with it. Unfortunately, in practice on Monday, we were not good at all. My best lap that I ran was a 17:57, which compared to the 40s I was running last week was not very good. And it put me about 17th to 20th on practice times. So definitely I had to pick up some time for today. Unfortunately, I was not able to do that. I went out in qualifying and ran a 17:65, but from the moment I fired the car up this morning, I knew that there was something wrong. It didn't want to run right, and it would stall itself a few times. While I was sitting on the grid for qualifying, it revved up to about quarter throttle and just stayed there. So I shut the motor off and turned it back on, hoping that it would reset the ECU. Unfortunately, it didn't do that, and I went out for my qualifying laps, and on the exit of every turn that I ran, I would go to hit the gas, and the motor had a split-second delay where it would not do anything and then spike the throttle, and that would get me a little bit loose coming off the corners. So I had trouble carrying enough speed down the straightaways, and because I didn't carry enough speed, I had a hard time getting to the rev limiter, and that made it harder to slow the car down for the corners. So none of my qualifying laps were very good. My best qualifying lap was a 17:65, and that put me 20th, which is second in the B main. We messed with it a little bit and got it to where it runs a little bit better, so I'm going to go out in the B main and try to transfer through to the feature. Hopefully we can get this thing running right for the race and we can go out and get a good finish tonight, but I'm going to have to fight through the B main first. So I hope y'all enjoyed today's video, and let's get into it.
Look at the footwork too. He's got the footwork down too, like he's back in the pocket, dodging defenders. Speaking of dodging defenders, the semi-pro B main is going on right now. 15 laps the distance, top 4 qualify. Here we go, up off from turn number 2. Nate Morris sets the lead, sets the pace as they work to turn number 3.
Work our way off turn number 4. Lap 1 going to be complete. Morris starting to check out already over Ian Hampton. And it seems like no matter what, we always have the battle for the transfer spot. P4, here it is. There's about 5 cars under a blanket. Bulkley is there. Randy Phillips has it at the moment, the yellow car. Jake Locklear, the white number 4, he wants it off turn number 4. Side by side for that. Whoa, watch out. We got him wrecking and spinning, and we stay green for the moment.
Got debris falling off one of the cars down there, but it's down into the grass, and we do stay green. So, boy, that was a big break. The biggest break was for the 99 of Tyler Gerritsen. Gerritsen was outside the money, now he's inside the money as those two tangled, and he finds himself right now running in the 4th spot. The battle is at the front of the field. Ian Hampton right there off the back bumper of Nate Morris. Morris is the race leader. Hampton looking to the low side off turn number 4. Morris on the high side, Hampton down low. Hampton gets a run down into turns 1 and 2. Morris keeps it wound up on the high side off turn number 2.
And this is one of those situations now, if you're Ian Hampton, you know you've got a pretty good insurance policy going on. There are 4 cars in this group, 5 cars in this group, 4 of which will transfer, and they're pretty spread out. So Hampton going to take that chance to take the lead and does so, getting into turn number 1. Leads Morris now back to second. Bulkley has closed in the green 27. He's going to take a shot at the runner-up spot now as Morris starting to slide up the racetrack, missing his marks, getting in the corner. Could be a bad thing for Nate Morris. It's a long race still to go. 9 laps remain. He's going to remain in the top 4.
Yep, absolutely. As Morris hangs on to that 2nd spot. Bulkley runs in 3rd. Hollywood Gerritsen runs in position number 4 in that 99. 1 spot out of the money right now is that number 11 car, One Shot Will from up in Ona, West Virginia. Boy, something happens at the front of him. Will is sitting right there poised to make up some ground as they continue on down into turns 3 and 4. Ian Hampton brings him off turn number 4. Nick Bubbles Bronson gives him the signal. Halfway down, halfway to go. 8 laps have been completed. 7 laps to go here in the VP Racing Legends car, semi-pro B-main.
VP all about making power. Well, they're making some entertainment right now with plenty of power. Off turn number 4, Morris continuing to fend off Nick Buckley. Again, that's beginning to tighten up still as Will Gear trying to close in. Same with Gerritsen sitting there in the 99, but again, he's in the qualifying spot. can look in the mirror and see I've got plenty of space back to gear. I don't need to do anything crazy here. I think the same can be said for Nick Bulkley. Yes, he would love to have second spot. He would love to make his way into another spot on the feature lineup, but for now, he has to get to the feature. So it's all high percentage moves from here, no low percentage chances. You've got to make something happen, maybe, if the opportunity presents itself, but otherwise, just kind of hold down the fort. Don't do anything crazy. And Bulkley continuing to do that as they complete yet another one. 11 laps complete, just 4 remaining.
Yep, up the backstretch they go, working their way into turn number 3. Ian Hampton from Stockbridge, Georgia, doing a really nice job at the front of the field, able to maintain about a 2-car length advantage, now maybe up to 3-car lengths. Nate Morris, a little ill-handling that car, not necessarily hanging to the bottom of the speedway, but he's got enough speed to hang on right now as Bulkley runs in the 3rd spot and Garrettson runs in 4th, and Gear not able to make any ground up, able to keep them in sight, but that's about all as we get the signal. 2 laps to go, 2 to go. Ian Hampton and your 3 drivers trailing them, trying to lock their way into tonight's VP Racing Legends car Semi-Pro A-Main.
That's all Wheel Gear can hope for right now, is those top 3 get tangled up. They're close enough. The bumpers can touch. Something can happen. We've seen them crash the straightaway here already. White flag, final trip around the quarter mile. Does Bulkley make a move? Can Morris hold on? Can Garrettson hold on? Here, pull a miracle out of the hat here, down the backstretch for the final time, into turn number 3, and Ian Hampton going to win the VP Racing Semi-Pro B-Main event here in round number 7 of the Cookout Summer Shootout. He will qualify for tonight's VP Racing feature go. Hampton, Morris, Bulkley, and Garrettson.
All right, sweet. We transferred through the B-Main, and now we can just focus on the feature. I had a shot to win the B-Main because I jumped out to an early lead, but I gave it up pretty quickly as I was struggling on the brakes being really loose, and I still had a little bit of an issue with the throttle pedal hesitating. It appears as though it's a throttle position sensor issue where it's misreading where the pedal is, and that's causing that little bit of hesitation on corner exit. So hopefully we've got that fixed for the feature, and I can go out here and try to run some good laps and hopefully pick up a few positions. I would like to get into that top 10 because, as I've said before, that is my goal for the series, is to get a top 10. But I'm going to have to get a good bit faster than I've been all week. But hopefully now that our issue seems to be resolved, I can go out and run some good laps.
Have a win this season in the VP Racing Legends Car Semi-Pro ranks. Pace car scampers out of harm's way. Here they come. Off turn number 4, Nick Bubbles Bronson looks them over. It looks good. Green lights are on.
Well,
track caution lights are out. Here they come off turn number 2. Hunter Jordan gets the advantage off turn number 4. Dylan Faulkner and Brody Gunter side by side for the 2nd spot. Off turn number 2, Jordan, your race leader, onto the back straightaway.
Jordan out to the point, but it is a mess behind him. 2 wide. There were 3 wide for a moment. Everybody's starting to sort out now as we finish lap number 1. First fight is going to be for 2nd. That is where Brody Gunter has his hands full with Hollywood Dylan Faulkner. Faulkner to the bottom, and they're getting up and over and on their lid in turn number 2. Red flag is out as the 9 of Risley went up and over. Oh boy. Of a different kind here as he goes over.
That was a crazy start to the race. Thankfully, we avoided both incidents, just barely, but avoided them, had no damage, and went from 20th to 15th. So that helped us out a lot there. Unfortunately, during that run, I noticed that there was an issue with my rear brakes because every time I went into a corner and got on the brake pedal, it locked up a little bit and got me really sideways getting into the corner. And so I used the brake bias valve to try to get less rear brake. And I got to a point where if I turned the valve a little bit, it had no rear brakes. And if I turn it back the other way a little bit, they locked up. So I was assuming there was an issue, but I was just going to try to ride it out to the end of the race. But the lap of this caution here, I had started to hear a grinding noise in the right rear tire area. And so I brought it to the pits under the caution. And it turns out the bolt that holds the bracket and the right rear brake caliper on had broken. And so the caliper was grinding against the inside of the right rear wheel. And so thankfully 510 Racing got that put back together for us and got us back out. We had enough time to do that because of another caution that happened before the race even got back going. So that helped us out a lot, gave us a little bit extra time. So we got back out here, and for the rest of the race, I was just fighting the adjustments that I had made earlier and finally got the brakes back to where they were halfway decent. But at this point, I had just kind of run out of time to run a good lap because of all the bad laps I'd had to run today and yesterday. And so I was struggling to get back into a rhythm and just couldn't make any time. There was eventually a caution that came out to end the race, and we ended up in 13th. So I'll take it. Rode around in the back and finished 13th. Not our best showing as far as speed and performance, but hopefully we can come back next week and be a good bit more competitive, get back into a good rhythm and run some good laps and chase that top 10 for real this time. But yeah, thank y'all for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed today's video, and I'll see y'all in the next one.